Marco,
Sean, is that
there
in
you are.
tune? Are you in tune?
I'm always in tune.
Yeah.
Well, at least in my own head, I am. That's
Is
the question.
an auto tuner or is
That's
just
I'm
because you're
on
into?
auto tuner. Exactly.
It's an AI tuning plugin, I think.
That's right.
I hope
It's
not. I hope
embedded
not.
embedded in my head.
I'll be very
We might
disappointed
get
in
there.
you, Sean.
I know. Now we were talking offline before we started chatting. I try to be a purist when it comes to creating music, and we're also talking about those who listen to it and whether it matters to them if people are creating music in purest form without AI. I don't know. Time will tell. We've seen some signs that make us all scratch our heads, but we'll see where things end up.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. And I mean, AI is just one piece of the technology puzzle. It seems to be getting a lot of the attention lately, but there are still instruments with and without AI, equipment that helps capture sound and present sound and gives performers a way to project to an audience and connect with their audience. So there's all kinds of technology, and that's what's cool about an event coming up in January, Marco.
An event that I'm very, very excited about. I mean,
You
I
you
love
missed it.
cybersecurity. I love smart cities, but I love music. So
I love
what
music
what
too.
could be better than this?
I know. So
So
we had a chance to cover the event and connect with John last year. John, it's good to see you.
Good to see both of you again. It's my favorite thing to talk about is the NAMM Show.
Exactly. NAMM Show 2026 in January. The exact dates are the 20th through the 24th for the events, and the exhibits are on 22nd through 24th. And it's a good few days. I had the chance to go last year for the first time. I can't believe it took me all that time to make it there, but I'm so glad I did. And I'm even more excited for this year because I'm actually going to do it more formally. Not just arriving this time and seeing what's happening. So we're going to
showing up.
just showing up, and it was a good time with just showing up. So I can only imagine what we're going to accomplish this year. But before we get into what 2026 will bring, maybe a few words from you, John. What's going on with you and NAMM, the big picture before you get into the big event?
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you all so much for all you do, and I'm glad you had an amazing experience at NAMM last year. No, 2026 marks the 125th year that NAMM, the organization, has existed. And it's one of those times that, you think about, and we've been thinking about this, anniversary or NAMM anniversary, we're going to call it, for a couple years now.
Numbers.
And, it's one of those that you celebrate, but you really think about, like, what does 125 years bring? And so the large thought behind the show, and then the excitement and the energy that we're bringing, and we've been thinking about long before, all the kind of the roller coaster this year has been for business, and in a lot of ways, is you look back at the history, and it's a history of resilience, and it's a history of just constantly evolving and overcoming and adapting, having musical genres, innovation, come up fast, go away fast, having products be on top of the world one year and those companies out of business 2 years later because of a shift in musical genre or a competitor did it better. And it's just an incredible story of innovation and timeline. And as we looked at that, and yes, we're going to be presenting some cool things and a new timeline of the industry, and with some other things we're going to present at the NAMM show to kind of celebrate this. I'll tell you where my head's at is, what a better time, to celebrate like resiliency and adaptability than now. With obviously we've had to be resilient this year with I won't use the T word, but which is tariff, of course I will say, but I'll say that I'll talk about just the abrupt changes of international trade rules and on all sides, and that's been a tumultuous year for our industry, but also obviously with the new threat that is AI. And I say the new threat because there's been lots of threats, and threats become opportunities somewhere on the timeline. And so, when we start calling it an opportunity, but it's a perfect year to kind of tackle these things and remind ourselves how much we've, as an industry, and as an industry, unlike and like different than other industries, that we have overcome. Because I won't name names, but if you look at other industries and other associations, they have not been around for this long. And I think there's a resiliency to music makers. I think there's a passion, and I think, and I know we're an industry that, though there's a lot of competitors that come together at the NAMM show, and there's a lot of competitors that look to NAMM to help their business grow. At the end of the day, what the beautiful thing of NAMM is you can look over at the bar and see like fierce competitors having a beer together. And it's because like we all realize that more musicians is a really good thing for everyone. And so those are kind of the themes that we're really playing on going into this 125th year.
Well, it's funny, and I'll pass it to Marco, because the thing that strikes me is we're all coming together for the passion of music, which, funny enough, for me at least, gives me a sense, an ability to have a sense of resilience. So music fills me with warmth and the ability to say, I can get through that. So it's kind of a full circle moment. Marco, I think you have the same kind of view on it, right?
Was it that song back in the 80s said, DJ saved my life? Last night a DJ saved my life. I think music in general is part of everybody's life and moods, and it's not just about going out and party, go to the concert, which is fun, but it's in our blood. And I think that's maybe being philosophical here, because that's what I do best, or at least the most. Maybe that's the reason why it's been around for 125 years now, and because it's no matter what electronic you bring in, no matter what digital, is still gonna be that. I mean, I saw the cover for a guitar last night that I brought in Italy, and this guy came and he's like, I have 37 guitars, and I'm like, holy shit. And
that's it.
And I'm like, are you a professional musician? And he's like, no, I just play. It's just like, it's what I do when I'm done working. It's my meditation, and it's incredible, the passion. And it's not just for the professional. I think it's for everyone.
And music is lasting forever. Like, music is everlasting. So no matter what happens in our industry, it evolves forward. In 1901, if we had started the National Association of Horse Whips or Horse Carriages or Ice Block Delivery Service, we'd probably have been out of business in the next 20 or 30 years.
Yep.
But we're the National Association of Music. And so that's never going out of business. It changes, it evolves, but that's one thing that we don't take for granted at NAMM, because yes, we're talking about the NAMM show, but the NAMM show is, the most important thing that we do as NAMM, but we celebrate being the association that is focused every day on helping this industry thrive and grow. And this has been a year where we've been able to do that. From association work standpoint, I'll say, NAMM members, you need your association all the time, always, 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 with my preference. But people don't generally look to needing their association when everything's great. When things are not great, they really look to needing their association. Yeah. So this year, yes, monthly tariff working groups, articles, lobbying in DC, working with different companies, sorting out a partner with different, making sure we're the voice of our association and partner with other associations. All we've been just doing so much work on this particular topic, not to mention Department of Education and everything, all the things have been happening. It's been a good year to remind our members what we're capable of, and quite frankly, remind us and our staff and our team what we're capable of. And, there's something I've been saying internally for a while. It's been a little busy this year, but what we did the past 10 months will be remembered for the next 10 years. And we have to seize that opportunity to say, like, this is why we've been around 125 years, because we will pivot, adapt, and we've created more new working groups and coalitions and more initiatives internally than we would have ever. We didn't have a strategic plan for 2025 that says create tariff groups, add lobbying DC, multiple coalitions, multiple webinars. That was not in any of our plans, but that's okay. And I think that's, quite frankly, the future of what we have to do. And so you'll feel that energy at the NAMM show. And I mentioned this too, back to the NAMM show, because when people come together in person, sort of after that year, you'll feel that. And I'm excited to have people say, oh my gosh, I'm so good to see you. And remember we had this thing in April, and I appreciate what you did in June. It's really good to have that energy around the show.
Yeah. And it's infectious. I still carry last year, so I can only imagine what 125 celebration of NAMM will bring to the event.
Well, let's look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you tease?
What can I tease? This is a little early. I can only tease what's been publicly released. So I'll share some. I think one thing that's really exciting and is innovation. And I'll say over the past 6 months, a lot of companies, particularly, I think especially manufacturers, have been in defensive mode because they're trying to figure out all the impacts of everything that's going to happen. And I'll be the first to admit that I know companies I've talked to have said, I had to push a product release back because I couldn't figure out how to get the current product in and the materials and blah, blah, blah. But now suddenly there's been this shift, and really in the past month. And now, and I think, I know it's that like that NAMM show. It's like, oh, the NAMM show's coming up. People are, their eyes are open. The amount of innovation that's like flooding right now is so exciting. Because you'd asked me 2 months ago, or between 2 months ago and 8 months ago, I was like, yeah, we're not innovating. We're in defensive mode. We're not going to have as many product launches. It's going to be sort of a year that we're working together through the struggle, blah, 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 blah. But suddenly, as we get closer to the NAMM show, companies are showing up with like our phones are blowing up and our meetings and our team about like, we want to show this, we want to show this. So we're going to have like absolutely incredible innovation. The long story is I was so worried that we were going to have, but the product releases, the innovation, it's coming out. And so it's going to be a really exciting year because companies are back in that mode. And I think always like the hold back a little bit and having that come later with a bigger burst is actually going to create this sort of like energy bubble that's going to be really cool. So you'll see lots of product innovations.
Can I ask you something about that before you
Yeah.
move on, John? Because I'm curious. Marco and I look at a number of different industries, certainly broader tech, and we're looking at healthcare and agriculture and smart, a bunch of things. And my view is that a lot of the technologies sound the same, and it's hard for companies to differentiate from each other. I'm wondering what you're seeing in the world of music and the world of music technology and the innovations that are coming. Do you see really unique and differentiated capabilities coming out?
And that's such a good question because I look at a lot of these product launches. In our industry, it is interesting because there's not you fundamentally there are some instruments that are always going to have six strings and between 18 and 24 frets. I'm not naming any particular instrument, just spitballing here. But so like, but then there's this incredible level of innovation that happens around this. So how do you innovate in that way? How do you keep excitement? How do you make consumers buy 37 of these instead of just one of these? And you're right. Like there are some things that are just fundamental to what listeners expect to hear. But at the same time, I'll tell you what I've seen the biggest trend right now, and maybe this is where companies differentiate themselves from AI is artists and influencers. It's if you look at what's coming out on maybe product lines that have very distinct features that are never going to change. It's artist models, it's artist collaborations, it's that storytelling around why that came up. That's what's driving it. The artist influencer collaboration around products is key. And I think that's where we see that growth all over NAMM. I see that in the conversations we're having right now. And I can tell you like the big teaser, and I can't name names yet, but the artists game at the NAMM show is going to be bigger than ever. And part of that's because we at NAMM recognize that companies want that. So we've doubled our artist relation partnerships. We've gone after this in a huge way. But also because companies are all now on the artist relation, influencer, brand strategy. That's how you get a brand to consumer. You show someone playing it. So what's exciting for us is we're getting way more of I want this artist is going to show up at this event with this product instead of hey we're going to show this product and no offense to product managers, I love product managers and I love product developers. You are the people that make these things and make them amazing. We love you. But when we have traditionally like my product manager is going to show up and demo the product, I have this artist that millions of people follow showed up to demo the product. Those are different conversations, and we're definitely hearing the artist side of this in a really exciting way.
Super cool. I've seen similar news number of feeds, and I see a lot of the uh, artist branded, co-branded partnership deals. Even on marketplaces, you see it all over the place too.
It's all over. And
Yeah,
maybe it's like your point about how do you differentiate? I mean, that's the differentiating
yeah,
piece. I mean, you could make a thing and you can make it in a color, and and you could put the knobs in different places and all of that. But at the end of the day, I think people are really pushing that human connection. Like, and I think social media has changed the game in a huge way because you can have a really deep relationship with an artist. It's not an advertisement. I mean, I follow people on TikTok, on Instagram, and like just seeing like a really organic reel of someone being like, hey, and then like just, I feel like I know that person. I feel like I'm part of their daily life. I see their 3 posts a day. Like I connect to that person, and then you build that trust, and that's what the next generation expects. That's how they're making decisions on what products they want. They want trust. They want authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the AI hype is going to sort of, there's, sometimes things are a trend, sometimes things are a fad. I think this is definitely a trend wrapped in a big like fad wrapper that's going to kind of fall off a little bit. I think so. When the hype kind of settles down, I think we're going to realize like what authenticity is, um, and what maybe is not so authentic, but maybe doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I love what you just said because it feels like a broken record in my head because I talk with writers that have a big AI problem. I talk with people that creates art in general, and I think a lot of people we do agree that it's maybe it's the price that we're paying is breaking thing to maybe make it art better. It's kind of like a wake up call to say, look, you can put as much technology you want, as you said, but then in the end is who is composing something, what is the feelings that he puts into that song, into the photo, into the painting, into the book, right? It's that experience that come through, and I think that reflect on what you said about the brand at this point is the people. It's not, you can't just say the brand is this. No, the brand is what you show me it is. And that's why the CEOs, the personal branding is so important. And I just wonder, if there was a NAMM one year that there is not technological innovation, everything like in this hypothetical world stays the same, right? And you're just changing the colors and where you put the knobs, but I think it'll still be packed and people will still like talk about it. You know what
Yeah,
I
but
mean?
people want to innovate. I mean, people want to innovate. They have a desire because musicians were tinkerers too. We're all
Yeah.
looking for our own authentic sound. I mean, we all want to be authentic. Like, sure, we want to play like our idol, but we really want to play like our idol, but in our own authentic way.
Yeah.
And that's that drive for like, and I love that because you get to this super high level musician, maybe the knob in a different place, or this other pedal, or this other sound, or this other workflow on the software side. Just the idea of like, a different workflow speeds me up, and now I have some, authentic advantage. And I think people always thrive for that. That is why music in our industry is so great because it's never good enough, and there's no such thing as perfection. It is an endless drive. It is that, what is that curve that just never gets straight? And that's what it is. And I think that's what drives all of this innovation. And we think a lot about that. I'll give you, you asked about like NAMM Show 26, what we've been kind of working on. My first year, I was thinking a lot about like, oh gosh, what is NAMM after the pandemic and this and that. And, this line we came up with is we're not in the music products industry, we're in the music people industry. And we've really started thinking about what does the music people industry need from NAMM in a NAMM show. And so we this year, when everyone goes to register for the NAMM show, you're going to see I have to create an account at NAMM.org. I say there's no such thing as guest checkout. You got to have an account to get a badge. So you create an account at dashboard.namm.org, you answer some questions, and then you proceed to register, and you register for the show. And then the app, which is live now, you can go in the app, you can see all the sessions, but you can also put in your email, and the app knows who you are from your registration, and all of a sudden you can plan out all your schedule and do all your sessions and all of that. So this is a really nice user experience, so people can um, first of all, get through, register quickly. They have a good experience on the app. They can make plans and they can, save their sessions and favorite their booths and have their plan. But under the hood, from a data standpoint, we at NAMM realize we need to understand what's happening at the show, who is there. In order to provide a really amazing experience for every individual at the show, we need to know every individual at the show. So, spoiler alert, under the hood, when you create that account at NAMM, everything you do across any other system is centralized back to NAMM. And it's that's really important from us. I mean, you're a tech guy, so you know what I mean by that. But that user now starts and ends at NAMM. The only data the other partners get is only what they need to, do the functions they need. NAMM is, everything's secure with NAMM, but also we now have a really comprehensive picture on what people are doing at the NAMM show. And that picture can be taken and divided and sliced by everyone that's interested in fretted products versus percussion products versus pro audio versus recording. That can be sliced by people who are teachers versus product managers versus CEOs versus bow makers. That can be sliced by people like what type of music people listen to. That can be sliced of how long they've been in the industry. And that's really powerful for us because we can learn what is happening and how it makes it more beneficial for everyone. Because you have 70 plus thousand people in Anaheim, that's a really big herd to track. But if we can actually have 70,000 individual profiles and understand that these 500 have this in common and these 200 have this in common, so we're at that level this year. And so what we're able to learn and how quickly we're able to evolve the show in 27 and 28 and what we're able to do between NAMM shows, ongoing webinars, ongoing member benefits, ongoing interactions, networking, whether in person or online, all the things we do between the shows is going to be more sophisticated than it's ever been.
Listen, Sean, I gotta
Yeah.
stop you because I gotta follow through quickly. Education, you kind of touched on it right now, and I know how passionate you are about it. I know how much the organization does for it throughout the year. I remember we talked about last year as well. You have 200 plus education sessions. Can you touch on that? Because I think that's important.
Thank you so much, Marco. And education is key, and it's what drives a lot of people to the show. That's why we have a 5-day show. And so one thing you'll see Tuesday and Wednesday of this year is we have more sessions, way more sessions than we had last year. Last year, adding education Tuesday and Wednesday was an experiment, and we admittedly underestimated because we were turning people away and we didn't have enough room. So there's way more sessions on those days, as well as Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We've also introduced a new level of education because we provided education for so more years. Now we have people that want to level up. So we have half day and full day summits that we're introducing this year on Tuesday and Wednesday, where people can go in depth with a really high level presenter or a couple sessions where they can really dive deep in a topic. And the summits, as well as the over 200 sessions that happen throughout the show, are very strategically put together around community. So what our team does, and we have a large team that thinks about this, is really sit down and say, okay, what does the pro audio community need and get out of this? What does the education community need and get out of the show? What does the marketing professional need and get out of the show? What does the retailer need and get out of the show? We go like community by community. So it's not just like 200 sessions and I hope there's something for everyone. We envision and track now with data, what does a retailer of a certain size with certain number of employees, what does that retailer get? Are they getting everything they need? So it's really down to that level. And we really want to make sure everyone has a place to get education and education at the level they need. So it's differentiating. I mean, it's 70,000 people and there will be 70,000 unique experiences that happen at the show. So we are making sure that each individual has a path and we have a way to measure if it's successful.
And I can, as you're talking about this, I can picture the ukulele session out in the courtyard,
Yeah.
teaching people to play the ukulele. It's really cool. That's just one example. At the heart of all this is a story, and I think art has a story. Each person has a story. The technology has, and the products have a story, and that all comes together. And we each, as you're pointing out, that creates our own individual stories as we engage with other people at the event and the things we're seeing at the event. So I'm wondering what that's driven by. I just learned there's an obelisk in Central Park that I walk by once or twice a day, multiple times a week. I saw it, didn't really appreciate it until I learned about its story and its journey from Egypt to Central Park and the travels that it experienced. I have a different appreciation for it now. So an understanding, connection with others. I heard that story from somebody else, gave me a different appreciation for what I see every day. So with the idea of stories and storytelling and creating stories, what's your view for the story for this year's event?
Yeah, the story, that's an amazing, amazing question. If you look at like, the story behind this year's event, the NAMM show every year, and I made this analogy last year, I'm a wine guy, and we all know that you have your favorite makers, but a 2017 and a 2018 and a 2014 are three completely different bottles. Same maker, same land, same plot, you know. And you think about like 2026 in the music industry, we're in a very different place in 26 than we were in 25. And the story behind NAMM, every year the NAMM story should be crafted around the 2026 story is crafted around January through December of 2026, not 25. And that's the way we think explicitly. It's not a reunion or a celebration or a woe from what happened before, but it's that what does 2026 bring and what do we need to be educated on? What do our companies need to present and who do they need to meet with and what experiences do they need to create to be successful in that year? And so the story of 2026 is digital innovation. Every brand is now, the Instagram direct marketing strategy was kind of everyone's on that train now. Everyone's looking for a way to authentically connect with their customer and create an energy that includes every touch point of that product's brand, including in retail, including online, and like omni-channel connection. Everyone's focused on that. And so that's a lot of the story. If you attend NAMM or if you're like watching all the different influencer coverage that's happening at NAMM, because you can now watch NAMM live through over 1,000 different influencers that are there. So you can, just get a live, you'll see this. You'll see the story of what are we focused on for this year. And that's what excites me most, because for us, like people ask, like, what does NAMM get out of NAMM? Like as an organization, like we use NAMM to get a broad snapshot of where our industry is going. Because as the association, our job is to help our industry be successful. And so if we know where the industry is leaning, our job is to help in that direction. So how do we know that? We look at what products are being launched. We look at who's meeting with who. We look at who's attending, either what sessions are being attended the most and least, and where people's interests are. So that answers your question. That's the story we want to craft. The story is about the future. Every NAMM show is a springboard for that year.
Yeah, I know Marco has something to close, but I'm going to connect the marketing and the influencers, because those connecting the products to the consumer and the consumer through through influencers, kind of, really building that connection to the brand. And so that really highlights it for me as well.
Well, I think you give me a great assist. I love stories. I write stories. I'm all about storytelling. I always say we're all made of stories as human, right? So I think what you said is great, because it's hard to predict. I feel like the story is going to write itself probably in NAMM. There's probably going to be stories inside a story, and you just can't predict it. So actually that's where AI comes useful, maybe, when you look at the data and you see what story actually happened. I don't dislike AI when it analyze and help us to understand as much as when it doesn't allow us to be creative on our own. So I can't wait to be part of these stories, to tell more stories with you and with everybody else on the organization are going to come. I love to talk more about people involved in the education, but as well as companies. And I think people can tell that Sean and I are extremely, extremely excited about this. So I want to thank you again for your time.
Yeah, no, thank y'all too. And I'll make a shameless plug for everyone listening
Go.
to this. The energy at the NAMM show. I mean, if you've never been to a NAMM show, if you're thinking about coming to the NAMM show, if you do anything in this industry, if you're connected to music products in any way, you're welcome at the NAMM show. You can go to NAMM.org. You can create an account. We have a qualified attendee path to attend the NAMM show. Of course, you can attend through, connections of various partners. But, the NAMM show is a place where there's an incredible energy around creativity. And there's nothing more powerful than getting together in person. It's kind of like a band getting in a studio and focusing, and this energy is created. And over a week, this energy creates this like epic album that outlasts time. That album was created because of an energy, a space, and an energy that existed to allow creativity to happen in more powerful ways than we ever imagined. That's what the NAMM show does for 5 days. And when you're there, you're part of that energy in your mind. Everyone is open to new ideas. Everyone is looking for ways to explore and create. And there's an energy there that you can't get if you're not there. You can watch it, you can see what happened, you can see the product releases, you can see stories, and all of that's amazing. But if you want to propel your career or your life, and you have to be part of that energy, because it's like it opens up your mind and your heart as soon as you walk on, and it's like, oh, I can do more now than I ever could before. So come to the NAMM show, feel the energy.
And I can say with 100% confidence that you're spot on, John. And I cover a lot of events, and most of them I feel like I spent a lot of energy. At NAMM, I walked away being full of energy. So I was part of the energy, and I brought energy back with me. And again, it's all rooted in music, creating, enjoying, participating, talking about it, hearing it. It's all there. And I can't wait to get on site in Anaheim for the, what are the dates here? We got, I just lost the page.
20 through 24 January.
20 through 24. I had the detail sessions up. There we go. 20 to 24, Anaheim Convention Center, SoCal. I'm going to make the trek from East Coast back west and enjoy hopefully some sun and tons of good people. Looking forward to seeing you, John, and all the rest of the team from NAMM that week.
Thank y'all so much. I'll see you there.
And thanks everybody for listening, watching, and stay tuned for more from NAMM Show 2026 in Southern California, and we'll keep you posted on what's going on there. And there'll be links in the show notes for registration and becoming a member if you want, and all the rest of our coverage as well. Thanks, everybody.